it's not I versus you. For me, it mostly like us versus the problem.
Welcome to All Peacemakers Needed video series. I'm happy to be here today with my dear friend, former student, Lilunnaher. I love her name. I hope she'll tell us a little bit about the history of her name and about where she's from. She was a great student and friend and colleague and graduate assistant. And so I'm very grateful to have her join All Peacemakers Needed. Welcome, Lilunnaher.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill. It's my pleasure to be here today. And so I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Lilunnaher, and that's my only name. So I don't have like a first name or last name like in the States. So I'm from Bangladesh and I'm an international student. And when I was coming to this state, I had to fill out those two boxes, first name and last name. So sometimes I had to put Lilunnaher, Lilunnaher. Sometimes it became a different version, if a new Lilunnaher, non-Lilunnaher, but I am Lilunnaher. So this is my name, and it means a lot to me because I got this name from my family, and it means someone who is very unique, and then the literal meaning is the light of the day and the light of the night. So yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I love the light of the day and the light of the night. I just love
Yeah.
that so much. And I
Yeah.
think that's great that you have such a wonderful name. And I
Yeah.
think it applies to what we're going to be talking about today, that we can
Mhm.
be the light in the daytime and in the
Mhm.
darkness.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And thank you so much for saying so many beautiful things about my name. And I also feel that our name has a lot with our identity, right? Sometimes because of the system or because of the different norms, we try to squeeze into that. But it's also very important that we recognize our worth, that I came from a very patriarchal society, and and it's very common to have the surname of uh, our father or our husbands, right? But why, as a woman, we just can't be ourselves? That's my personal take on that. Like I can
Mhm.
also be myself, right?
Mhm.
So why my name is not enough?
Right, right. Why my name is not enough. Yeah, exactly. So powerful, so powerful. So, do you want to tell? One thing we do like to ask is about
Mhm.
hobbies. Do you have any
Mhm.
hobbies? I know as a busy student, you might not have time for hobbies.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I do have hobbies. So, uh, my most favorite thing to do is reading novels,
Mhm.
like reading literature. So when I was young, I started reading world literature that was translated in my language in Bangla. So, but I love Bangla literature a lot. I love classic literatures like Shakespeare, Charles Dickens. So those two are my most favorite, and Rabindranath Tagore, Humayun Ahmed, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay. I'm mentioning some of the Bangla literature people. I love dancing. I love to dance, and I also love painting.
Wonderful, wonderful. I will have you send me the names of those books so I can put it in the notes of this
Mhm.
video so that people who might be able to read them themselves, if they're
Yeah, yeah,
interested,
sure.
that would be great.
Mhm.
So, to get to kind of our theme about peacemaking, what are your thoughts about peacemaking?
Mm. Yeah, peacemaking. So when I hear the word peacemaking, uh, I don't know. For me, it comes mostly from uh, like a personal level, because when we hear this word in medias or anywhere, it looks more like, from like national level, institutional level. But for me, it comes more with a personal level, like something that comes from our position, like what we can do as an individual, right? And creating the harmony between individuals, but it doesn't mean like uh, always agreeing with one point, but rather than listening to each other. And it's not I versus you. For me, it mostly like us versus the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Us versus the problem. Yes,
Mm.
I perfect, perfectly stated. And it is an individual thing. I think that's when we started our little group here. We were like, we want to change ourselves too.
Mhm.
I know obviously we're hoping that more we can help encourage
Mhm.
people to think more about peacemaking.
Yeah,
But it does start with ourselves and starts with our
yeah,
hearts.
yeah. It starts with our hearts.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how are you trying to be more of a peacemaker in your life?
Okay, in my life, how I am going to try it, right? So I always try to look at the people next to me, like how that person is going through. It might be very small thing, like uh, I remember one time one of my classmate was like coughing in the class, and maybe she needed water, right? I'm talking about back home in my classroom, which is very teacher student centered. So we are like very much like roboting in classroom. But that time, I felt that for me, it's more important to rush and go and bring the water and give it to her. So just don't sit like a puppet any setting. Like you are in that moment. You know what is going around you, right? If you see like someone from your next door is not getting food right during COVID, there are a lot of people who were out of their jobs. They were not being able to work. For me as a student, I don't have the power to change everything or do everything, but I had that thing that I can give some portion of my food from my home to my neighbor. I had like that I could do, but I couldn't change the whole thing. So I think it's very important to look around you, what's going on there. Like if you see someone old is not able to cross the road, help that person. I think it's also important, right? Help that person. Or nowadays, as we talk a lot about our mental health, if you see someone is going through a very difficult time, or you notice that maybe that person wants to talk, listen to that person. Even if you can't change anything, you can listen to that person, right? You
Mhm.
can sit next to that person. You can listen to your friend. You can listen to your mom. You can listen to your any other family member as well. Always. It's not always like giving someone like a charity or money. No, it's sometimes just to be with that person and understand what that person is going through.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love that you talked about that scenario where you felt pressure to follow the norms, right?
Mm-hmm.
To stay in your seat, don't disrupt, but you were overwhelmed with compassion, empathy, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I can choose following this, strict rules or break away and do,
Mm-hmm.
the compassionate thing, even if
Yeah.
there's a consequence. I don't know if there was a consequence, but sometimes there might be a consequence where you're like, and I think that's really brave. I think it does take some courage to be a peacemaker in certain situations.
Maybe sometimes like if I know like one of my friend is going through a little difficult time, it might be from family reason. It might be maybe she is not getting a job. It can be like she just had a breakup. It can be anything, right? But then what I can do, like as a PhD student, I have so many responsibilities. But then I can also, when I'm cooking, I can keep talking to that person, right? Like I can do that when I'm walking to my class. I can talk to that person. So, and I love to do that. It's not that I'm doing that from any force or something. I think it's something that I want to do. I want to be present as much as I can. So this
Yes,
is another
that
thing.
is something that I definitely felt from you right away. I have to work at that. I don't always want to be present or listening. That's your natural. instinct, right? And so I think that is just so beautiful. And that's why I wanted to interview you to highlight this natural instinct to just listen to people, want to be their friend,
Mhm.
interested in their life, passionately caring about one another. That's
Mhm.
something that my natural instinct is. I got stuff to do, you know? So it's something I have to work on a lot.
In touch.
So,
So I think I always make the first, most of the times I'm the one who will, call the person like first, like,
mhm.
hey, how are you doing? Because I want to know about them. I
Yeah.
want, and it's not only, it just didn't come naturally. I have also experienced that people who have been very kind to me.
Yeah. Yeah, when we're the receiver of kindness, that's really wonderful too. And
Yeah.
then we can, pass it along, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. You were picking me up from my home, and we went to the refugee movement together, and we worked. That was a kindness from you. So when in my life I get this kind of good thing that happened to me, I want other people in future that they also get something good from me as well.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot about that, which is another thing that when I was talking to another friend, and she said oftentimes the person doing the kindness doesn't even really remember or think it was such a big deal,
Mhm.
but the receiver, it makes kind of a bit, it's leaves an
Yeah.
impression, I should say.
Yeah. And when I did all this voluntary work, even I always tell other people now when I meet someone and someone asks me what was my life changing experience in the States, I would
Mhm,
say it was more than the professional work I do. But during that time when I was doing everything as a volunteer, like, so that was my life-changing experience. And especially when I worked with the two group, one group of international students, and like even I'm working with a student to the canteen, uh, I used to feel happy. I never felt that, oh, I'm doing this for that person, but it made me happy because I was also learning something at the same time. When I worked with the refugee woman,
mhm,
that was very powerful for me because sometimes in our life we feel that we are going through a difficult time and we are the only one who is suffering. But then when we get in touch with other people and we see other people around us, we realize that uh, there are more people next to us who needs more attention and more help and more support.
mhm. Yeah, that was life-changing for me too, helping those Afghan refugees that came. So you did talk a little bit about some tips for people who want to be peacemakers. Do you want to add anything else? Like if you were, advising someone how to be a peacemaker and
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think a lot of the thing I do, yeah, it does like come from my culture. Like I grew up in a joint family. So I had like around 17 or 18 people in my house. So I grew up with my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunts.
Mhm,
And I have seen that when they were very sick in their life, like they were in their bed and they couldn't get up. So my parents always told me that give this food to your grandma, or make her feed. And I have seen them doing the same thing. Or when I was sick, my cousins or my uncle, my aunts, they used to take care of me. So I think when I grew up in a environment that had all the people in that family cared for each other, I think that's the reason that I feel that this is the most important thing in life. Also, the kind of community I had back in Bangladesh. So, Bangladesh is a very diverse country in terms of culture, in terms of religion, in terms of festivals. So my neighborhood, like I am a Muslim, but my neighbors were Hindus. So we celebrated those festivals together. Like during our Eid, they came to my place. we had the shamai together. But then during puja, I went to my friend's house. I had the sweets from their place, right? And this value I or this experience I also carried here in the States. My best friend, she is Catholic, and I one day I went to the church with her because I really wanted to see like how's the church, and she invited me for Christmas. So I think it's very important for right now in our world not to judge each other, not to think that my culture or my view is the best thing, but it's very important to try to understand the other side of the story, because there are also that intercultural communication that sometimes create problem, right? That can be a problematic thing as well. So rather than judging each other, trying to understand each other, it's very important to see the good thing in the opposite side, because when we are like in a situation, we are mostly concerned with looking at the things that didn't go well with us. But if we be a little more patient and uh, try to understand what is the good thing in that part, maybe a lot of things will be solved. But it needs time, but it needs patience, but it's something worth to consider.
Yeah, I love you talked about two things that really stood out to me is the intergenerational family setting that you were in. I love that so much. I think it's so important for us to learn from people of different generations, younger and older. And that I love that concept so much. And then, talking to like different, walks of life, people who are from different religions, politics, anything, just becoming their friends. I love this, the example you shared of sharing, the feasts, the festivals of the different religions, and then learning about the Catholic religion here in the States. And the diversity that you have around you in Bangladesh that helped you learn more.
Yes, my classroom, even if I just talk about my classroom, that's a very diverse classroom. We have people from different countries, and every time there is a concept, we start talking about what that concept looks like in my country, in my language, in my culture, and it's so beautiful to learn from each other.
Yes, yeah, we can. We can really learn from each other and see different perspectives and different ideas. And also,
Mhm.
I love how you're reminding us that, we don't have to think that we're the best, like our ideas are
Mhm.
somehow the best. It's important, yeah. Like, yeah, it's again going back to your initial thought, it's
Mhm.
us versus the problem.
When I completed my master's program, my housing lease ended in like around mid-July. And since I was supposed to move to Boston, so I could come here mid-August. So there was a month gap in between. So I was supposed to be homeless, but I didn't had to do it because I had the people from the community. I stayed with my American friend. I stayed with my friendship family. I stayed with other international students like from Bangladesh or from Burkina Faso. Like talking about different countries, different culture. So, but even though all these people are from different culture, different background, different religion, all of them helped me and my husband, right? So I think that's how the peacemaking starts. They looked at me, they tried to help me out, and this is the same thing I want to do in my life next time. Like if I see another student who is going through similar kind of experience or situation, then I know that this is my I want to step out and go and hold their hand, and that's how it works. It's sometimes I think we make it really complex, like how to make the peace, but sometimes it can be that simple.
Yes, yeah, just holding out a hand to someone, helping them out. Yeah, it is. You're right. We do try to make it complex.
Mhm.
It is very simple. Well, thank you so much, Lilunnaher. I believe I asked you all the questions I had. That's good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Lilunnaher. I appreciate